Hi everyone, this is Donna, Log Cabin Stitcher, and this is a shell stitch cowl that I made. I used chunky weight yarn. It was Caron, I used one skein or cake of this Caron Tea Cakes, and it goes pretty quick because you're using the chunky yarn, and it has 3 buttons right here. And then this pattern right here is, I call it the moss stitch, but it's probably got a lot of names to it. So that's the base of your scarf, and then we add this shell stitch border. So that is the front. Let me turn it around real quick. You could see the back. And it's just folded over all the way around. And there's the front again. So I want to show you how I made this. For the first cowl I showed you, I used Caron Tea Cakes, and the colorway I used was Pumpkin Chai. And then for this cowl, I'm going to use a Caron Tea Cake. And this colorway is Winterberry. And it is still winter here. And it is a super bulky, but to me it's more of a bulky. So you can use a number 5 bulky weight yarn, no problem. Or you can hold 2 strands together of a number 4 worsted weight, whatever you like. This one is 8.5 ounces, 240 grams, and it is 204 yards. And we are pretty much going to use this whole thing. Then you also need a size N crochet hook. And this kind I get at Hobby Lobby, some of my favorites. It's a Yarnology, and size N, 10 millimeter, and these run $3.49. And I think the smaller size hooks run $2.99. And then you also need some stitch markers, and a yarn needle, and some scissors. These are the little thread snips that I like. And you need 3 buttons. You can use matching buttons or different buttons, and they need to be about 1 inch across or 1 1/4 inch, somewhere in there. And I think that's about it. So let's get started. Now when you go to use, if you're going to use a yarn cake, kind of look at, this is the outside color, this is the inside, it's a little darker gray color, and the shell border is what we do last. So you kind of want to see if you want your shell border to be this color or this color. So I am going to save this for my shell border, and I'm going to start with the outside of my cake. So we're going to do a slip knot. And then you're going to chain 22. So go ahead and chain 22, and I'll be back. Okay, so I chained 22. And my chain measures about 10 inches. It doesn't have to be exact, but somewhere around in there. You want it to be about 10 inches. And then for this first row back, we're just going to single crochet. So you can go in this little back bump and single crochet across those, because this is going to be the edge of your cowl. So that would make a pretty little chain stitch edging there if you want, but I am just gonna single crochet in the just one of the loops here. So this stitch that your yarn is coming out of, do not count that one. Go to this next one and do a single crochet, and then just do that all the way across. So in the next one, do a single crochet. And if you want, that first single crochet that you just did, if you want to put a stitch marker in there, that might help when we come back on our second row. That way you'll know that's the last stitch. But anyway, just single crochet all the way across that row. Okay, so I'm coming up to the end of my row. Single crochets. So that at the end of row 1, you should have 21 single crochets. So then you want to chain 1 and turn, and then in that very first single crochet, you're going to do a single crochet. Then you're going to chain 1, skip a single crochet, and single crochet in the next one. Now if you want to put a stitch marker in that first single crochet, that'll help when we come back on the next row. It'll help to see where that last stitch is. But on this row, what we're doing, we're just chain 1, skip a single crochet, and single crochet in the next one. So chain 1, skip a single crochet in the next one, and then just do that all the way across. So I'm coming up to the end of my row, doing a single crochet, chain 1, and then there's my stitch marker, so I know that's the last stitch. So I'm skipping a single crochet, and in that last single crochet I'm going to do a single crochet. Okay, and then chain 1 and turn. Okay, so now for this row, we're going to single crochet in that first single crochet again, and then we're going to single crochet in the chain 1 space. If you want to put your stitch marker back in that first single crochet, and then chain 1, skip your single crochet, and do a single crochet in that chain space. So then chain 1, skip that single crochet, and single crochet in that chain space. So you're going to do that all the way across. Okay, I'm coming up to the end, so I'm chaining 1, skipping my single crochet, single crocheting in that chain 1 space, and then there's the last stitch of my row. So I want to do a single crochet in that last stitch. Okay, and then chain 1 and turn. Okay, so then you're always going to single crochet in the first stitch. And then you're going to chain 1 and then skip the next single crochet, and then in that chain 1 space you're going to do a single crochet. And then chain 1, and if you want to put your little stitch marker in that first stitch, that helps. Okay, so chain 1, skip a single crochet, and then single crochet in that next chain space. So you want to do that all the way across. Chain 1, skip a single crochet in that next space. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of the row, so I am chaining 1, I'm skipping the single crochet, and I'm single crocheting in the chain 1 space. Then I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to skip single crochet right here, and then in this last single crochet I'm going to do a single crochet. So So at the end of every row, you're always going to have 21 stitches. That'll be single crochets, and where your chain ones are, there's always going to be 21. So then you chain one at the end of every row. That never counts as a stitch, and then you always single crochet in that first single crochet. And then you just kind of look at your stitches. If there's a chain space there, you're going to do a single crochet in that space. And then chain one, skip your single crochet, and single crochet in the next space. So the last 2 rows that we did, those are kind of the repeat rows. And you're just going to keep going until you have about 34 inches length of this. So just keep doing chain one, skip the single crochet, and single crochet in the next space. So just keep going till you have about 34 inches done. After I've done about 5 or 6 rows, I like to count my stitches, and you should always have 21 stitches. That includes your single crochet and your chain one. So there should be 21 stitches there, and if I have the right amount, then I put a little stitch marker there. And then I keep going, and I do, 5 or 6 more rows, and then I count my stitches. And if for some reason my stitches aren't right, see, here's where I counted last time. So if my stitches aren't right, I know where to rip out to. So I'd have to rip out at least to here, or maybe not quite that far, maybe just a couple rows, but I know at this point I was at 21 stitches. So just remember you always start with a single crochet, you end with a single crochet, and in between, if there's a chain one space, that's where you're going to do your single crochets, and where there's a single crochet, you're going to do a chain one and skip over that. So anyway, I just really like this pattern. It just turns out really pretty. So just keep going until you have about 34, 35 inch length. Okay, I've done about 35 inches, my length, and I have about this much of the kind of maroonish colored yarn left before it's starting to change to this gray color. So with this much yarn left, this very last row that you do, you want to chain one like you have been doing, and then on this last row we are going to just single crochet all the way across. So in that first stitch, do a single crochet, in the next stitch do a single crochet. So then the last row, like I said, just do single crochet all the way across. Okay, so we're just single crocheting in every single crochet and every chain one space. Do a single crochet all the way across. So here's my last stitch. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn our work, and we're going to start stitching along this edge right here. So this is our last row of single crochet. Here's where we ended. So in that last space right there, we're going to add 2 more single crochets. And then that just kind of rounds the corner for us so we can start working down along this edge. So we need to do 70 single crochets along this edge plus 1. So we're going to do 71. It needs to be in multiples of 10 plus 1. So you could do 61, 71, but we are going to do 71. So what I did, I folded my scarf in half, Here's the edge. Here's the fold. And I put a little stitch marker right there, about halfway. And then I folded it in half again. So this is like 1/4 of the scarf, and I put a stitch marker there. And then I did it on the other side. Folded it, and there's a stitch marker there. So it is divided into 4 sections. So we need to take 71 and divide it by 4, the closest you can get. So in each section, we're going to do about 17 single crochets. So we're just going to go right along the edge here. And that first one that we turned, that would have been 1. And then there's 2. And you just kind of find a hole. There's 3, 4, and then every once in a while you want to skip one, or otherwise this gets too many stitches and it gets kind of wavy. So there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then just kind of look and see, you know, I need to get, okay, I'm at 10, so I need to get about 7 more stitches in from here to here. There's 11, 12, I'm going to skip that one, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So that's a 1/4 of my scarf along the edge. So then in this next section, from the stitch marker to the stitch marker, I'm going to try to get another 17 to 18 stitches in there. And then I just do that for each section until I have 71 stitches to the end here. So just kind of work along the edge and do single crochets along the edge, and then I'll meet you back at the end. Okay, I'm coming up to the end. So here are my last 2 single crochets. That'll put me at 71 single crochets all along this edge. And I did put a stitch marker in when we did the 3 single crochets in this corner. I put a stitch marker in that last single crochet when we turned and to start this row. Okay, so back at this end, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn. Okay, and then right there in that first single crochet, we're going to do a single crochet. And then we are going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to skip 4 single crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and in that next one we're going to do 5 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to skip 4 single crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So in the next one we're going to do a single crochet. And that's our repeat across the row. We're going to do chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to skip 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that next one we're going to do 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to skip 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in that next one we're going to do a single crochet. So that's what you're going to do all the way across the row. So I'll meet you at the end. Okay, I'm at the end of the row, so I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to skip 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there's my stitch marker. Shows me I'm at the end of the row. So I'm going to do a single crochet in that last stitch. And if for some reason, you didn't quite get 71 stitches along there or something, then, maybe just skip 3 here or skip 3 here, or just kind of make it work out. But this is what it should look like. You should have 7 of these shells across the edge. So what we're going to do now, we're going to turn our work, and we're going to chain 1, and then in that first single crochet we're going to do a single crochet, and then we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then in our first double crochet we're going to do a double crochet, and then we're going to chain 1, and then in our next double crochet we're going to do a double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet, the next double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in our next double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet in that last double crochet, and then chain 2, 1, 2, and then in your single crochet over here we're going to do a single crochet. So it should look like that. We're just making our shell bigger now. So that's pretty much the repeat across this row. You're going to chain 2, and then double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 2, and then do a single crochet and a single crochet. So just do that all the way across until the end of the row. I'm at the end, so I'm doing chain 2, and then in that last single crochet I'm going to do a single crochet. Okay, so we should have big lacy fans. Alright, so now we're going to turn our work, chain 1, single crochet in that first single crochet, and then we are going to chain 1, and then do a double crochet in the double crochet. We're going to chain 2, double crochet in the next double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the next double crochet, chain 2, and then double crochet in the next double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet in the last double crochet, and then chain 1, and then single crochet in your single crochet. So now we are just making the fan even bigger. So that's the repeat across this row. You're going to chain 1, double crochet in the double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and the next double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the next double crochet, and then chain 1, and then single crochet in the single crochet. Okay, so do that all the way across. So I'm at the end of my last row, and I ended with a chain stitch, and then I single crocheted in that very last stitch. So I'm just going to leave a tail, fasten off, and this is how much yarn I had left. Okay, so I'm going to weave in the ends, and then I'm going to show you how to put the buttons on. Here's our finished cowl. So what you want to do is fold that top edge about 1/3 of the way down. And then we're going to fold it like it would wrap around your neck. Now I want more of the purple showing, so I am going to fold it the other way. Okay, like that, and then I'm going to wrap it like it's going to fold around my neck. Okay, I like that better. I like more of the purple showing. So we're going to sew the buttons right along this edge, right here. Actually, I don't, there we go. Don't want it, I want this edge to show a little bit, so you don't want it folded way over. So right in here is where we're going to put our buttons. So I'm just going to place some temporary stitch markers for now. Okay, now I'll show you how to put the buttons on. I have 3 buttons. My buttons don't match, but you can certainly get matching buttons. They measure about 1 inch or 1.25 inches, and you can sew these on with needle and thread if you like. But I am going to actually use this yarn. I'm going to cut me maybe 10 or 12 inch a piece, and then this I'm going to unravel it, into 3 strands. So I'll have 1, 2, 3 to sew on 3 buttons. So I am going to cut that, and then this first button here, I'm going to put it from the edge right here, I'm going to put it about 1.25 inches. The middle of my button is going to be about 1.25 inches right here. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that. I'm using a sewing needle with a large eye, and then I put one of the strands of yarn through it. And my button is about 1.25 inches from the edge. So I am just going to come up and leave a tail back here, like plenty long. And I'm going to go back down. And come back up. And you just got to make sure you find a needle that fits through the eyes of your buttons, the holes of your buttons. And I'm going to go back down. Now you can come back up and go back down one more time, but I think that's enough. So I'm just going to flip it over, tie this in a knot. Then I'm going to take these ends and just weave them in back here. All right, now I'll show you how to do the next button. Okay, for the second button, here's the edge, and I'm going to go up about 4 inches. The middle of my button is at 4 inches. And then also remember to, I'm about 1 inch from the edge this way. So make sure you stay about 1 inch from the edge there. Okay, and I got my needle and my yarn. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to come up through the hole. I can find it. There we go. I'm going to leave a tail back here to tie off. And I'm going across. Go back down. Come back up. And go back down. There's your little button, and then I'll just tie these ends together back here, and I'll just weave these extra ends in back here. Okay, here's my last button, and I'm going to be from the edge, I'm going to go up about 7 inches. So it's 7 inches from the edge, and then remember too to keep about 1 inch away from this edge over here. So I'm just going to sew this one on like I did the other ones. And then I put this button here because you're not really going to see it. This is going to be folded over, so you won't see this one. I put the pretty one down here because you are going to see this one for sure. So let me get this last one sewed on, and then I'll show you what it looks like all done. Okay, here's my finished cowl. It's all buttoned up. And actually you don't really see this button or this button. So really you can that one a little bit, but this is really the button that you need to have a pretty button right there. So there it is. That's what it looks like, and it's nice and warm and cozy. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon. I wanted to show you this cowl. I did it with a solid color yarn. It is, I love this chunky that I got on clearance at Hobby Lobby. And this is a number 5 bulky weight. Oh, that's hard to see. And it's 109 yards. And I used not quite 2 skeins. So this is what it would look like with just one color, which is very pretty. And this yarn is just super soft. So you would put your buttons right here, but you could also pull this over a little farther. That way it's overlapped. Like that. And then I have this pretty little pin that I got on clearance at Hobby Lobby. It's like the little Eiffel Tower on it. Some little beads. So you can just put that right down here in the corner. I could just pin that through the layers there. And then I'd have a pretty little pin hanging down. So you could also do it that way too.